Hey, everybody, would you like to be able to make more money, increase your business, be able to have a better family, be able to do better no matter what business you're in or what you sell? I think the answer is really easy. And you don't have to take my word for it. I'm not some big millionaire. I don't own yachts. I have no product to sell you. I don't know what I even could sell you. I just wanted to uh, share with you something that I've learned that's helped me to 3x my income, maybe actually like at this point 4 or 5 times my income when I had a worse I've been in I've been in better situations than I am now, and I've been able to make more money, and that's by honoring God, in and living by God's word. And if you're not a huge religious person, then go by the Stoic philosophy, the ancient Roman philosophy that Marcus Aurelius went by, that George Washington lived by, that Thomas Jefferson. I like to think of it as honoring God. It's easier. It's the exact same thing as the Stoic philosophy. They actually both emerge at the same time. But you can make way more money than you're making now. You can have a way better business than you have now. All you have to do is change the little things in life. And I have really nothing to gain by sharing this except for I just feel it in my heart that, God has kind of called me to, at least share what I've learned with other salespeople and other business owners. My wife and I, we own 3 businesses, and I work out of the house, and we have twin 6-year-old girls. And we've been through so many different challenges and ups and downs, and and I've been through so many up peaks and valleys in our business and my life, and I've had a lot of parallels, and it makes me to believe with the trajectory that we're on. Now, I might not be a millionaire now, but I know I definitely will be within the next few years, especially if the business continues at the rate of growth it is, and all we concentrate on now is being fair, being honest, giving lots of value. And I think the reason I feel compelled to make these videos, because I'm probably going to share with you all the worst things that I've probably ever done, which now looking back on it, I can't believe all the stupid things I've done, all the addictions I've had to different drugs and things like that I'm probably going to be sharing. The only reason I even would share them is because my wife is my best friend and she knows anything about me. And if you told my wife I had a midget stripper and had an affair with her or something, she'd probably be like, and she didn't know, she'd probably be like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. So I have quite a few crazy stories. I mean, my 17th birthday party made CNN News. We had an exotic dancer who was my stepdad's secretary, and I've been captain of the football team, and I don't know, I've probably done every drug imaginable, and I've been making 6 figures since I was 25 years old as one of the top salesmen in where I worked at. I've been making $250,000 a year since I was 25 years old. But for like 10 years, I was stuck. I could never really increase my income, even no matter how hard I tried, no matter how many Tony Robbins CDs I went, no matter how many Dale Carnegie things I went to, no matter how many books I read. I mean, I always did good. I always did good. I mean, we had a great life. We always did really well. I think my worst year, I made 120 grand in the last 10, 12 years previous to before I finally figured this out that my wife was trying to tell me. Of course, leave it to the wife. She's always right. And now I want to share it to whoever's willing to listen. Because if you're a business owner and you're struggling and you have ups and downs, or if you're a commission salesman or a salesman, salesperson, saleswoman, whatever, it's very easy to do better than what you're doing now. No matter trying to learn sales techniques, no matter if you're trying to use the Grant Cardone program or the straight line Wolf of Wall Street guys system, all that stuff there's nothing compared to honoring God and doing everything the right way. And I just read a book, or it was a book or a video, and maybe Ty Lopez shared it, but the person said that 70% of what most everybody says is almost a lie. And that's kind of one of the points I wanted to make, because I would always have ups and downs in my sales. Like I would do good a couple months, and then I would have a low month, and I would have a good couple months and then a low month. And then I got a job working at Marriott, and I sold timeshares for many years, and I always did really well. I was always the number one, number two. I mean, there's a couple times maybe. I mean, I remember one time Mary, I was like 7 one year, but for the most part, I was always in the top 2 or 3 or 1 or whatever. Not that that matters, but it's just to my point that I've always done very well. But still, even so, I always like a normal salesperson, always had ebbs and flows and was never consistent. And then I got addicted to pain pills, and I was addicted to pain pills for a long time, like, I don't know, 5-10 years. I guess that's pretty big. I don't really remember, 5-10 years, whatever. It was a while. And so I had this doctor who would just write them, and I loved them. And it come to find out my testosterone is like at a level 70, which, your average is like 400 to 1,000. So I just gravitated towards drugs because I actually felt good for once. The reason I liked them is I always felt good. But anyways, when I decided to get off of them, and then I came clean to my wife, and and then I let her know what was going on, and we decided to get off them. But if you know anything about addiction and trying to get off of stuff, you always kind of have relapses and things, and so sometimes I would relapse, and I wouldn't want to tell my wife because I knew then she'd, she wouldn't say anything, but then she'd give me that look, and I didn't want to get off of them, so I wouldn't tell her. And I would just try to, I'd say, no, honey, I'm not doing them again or whatever. And obviously you could tell I was, and I didn't realize how much of an idiot I looked like and how much you could tell in the energy you could feel until I had this guy just working for me, my RV mechanic. We rent out RVs now, and I had a guy I was paying full time for my RV fleet manager, and he was obviously addicted to drugs because I know how drug behavior is. He had a guy show up here 3 or 4 times a day with tinted windows who would never come help him, who said he was helping, and then he would always need money every day, and he just started spiraling out of control. But this guy would lie right to my face, and I mean, I couldn't ever prove that, but he needed money for a house, and I would lend him money, and he would say he wasn't on drugs. I'd point up, ask him, and but you could tell he was. He would go out, one time he went out partying all night, and then he tried to tell me, no, he wasn't doing drugs, and you could totally tell, bloodshot. I mean, I'm an addict. I know what it looks like, and so. And I asked my wife, I was like, was I that ridiculous when I was on that? And she's like, oh yeah. She's like, I could totally tell, when you were lying or not. So most of the time you're having problems in sales. Most of the time you're having problems in your business because you're not being honest with yourself. You may be being honest to the clients. Like I, even though I was a timeshare salesman, I was always honest to my clients. I never forced them to buy anything. That's why I was never always number one or whatever. Because there'd be a lot of times I'd be like, well, don't buy it, or you can't afford it. You shouldn't buy it. Things like that. So I always felt like I was honest to my clients. I mean, I'm in sales. I'm sure there's times where I maybe made things appear a better deal than they were. I'm sure there was a little bit of that going on. But for the most part, I've always felt like I was a very honest salesman and a very honest person. But in this one thing to my wife or whatever, there will be a lot of times I wouldn't be. I'd be like, yeah, honey, no, I didn't do that or whatever. And I'm learning, and it's probably to some of you who are good people or, superstars, which I don't think there's very many of you out there. You're probably like, yeah, no shit. Yeah, you got to be good and honest and whatever. But even I see a lot of church people, a lot of Christians, a lot of people that say they're good and stuff. They're very mean to people. They're very judgmental. They talk bad about people behind their back. I know I used to work in sales, so I would see people, oh, they're good Christians or whatever. In the break room, they're tearing people down, talking bad about people, trying to get people fired. All those little things, I think, is what holds most of us back from having the success that we want or building the business that we want. It's those little things, the talking bad about people, the lying to your spouse. Maybe you're not, you don't have addiction problems like I did, or you were, maybe you're honest to your clients, but what if you're a woman and you're going shopping and you tell your husband, oh, I only spent $200 when you spent $300 or $400? Or what about to your wife, and you say, oh, I was out with the boys. Oh, I just had, 2 drinks when you had 4. All those little things. You tell her you went somewhere, you went to the strip club. I mean, there's a lot of, I see a damn lot of Chinese massage parlors, so obviously a lot of guys are going to them. So there's a thriving drug business at $20 billion or $50 billion, however much it is, in the U.S. So obviously a lot of people are doing it. And I think because a lot of business people and salespeople are type A personalities, I think what happens is a lot of us, we get caught up in these things where you may be doing right in one aspect, but if you're like, and to prove my point, the way I'm able to prove this is when I worked at Marriott, and they would have surveys. There's, just like most businesses do now, when people get done with the presentation or whatever, or, you talk to somebody on the phone, they send you the survey, and they would send that to our clients. And for years and all the time, 95% of the time, people, honesty, 10, integrity, 10, friendliness, 10, sometimes they don't like the product, and, every once in a while you get a bad one or whatever, but it would be weird during the months, like when I would relapse, and I would be lying to my wife, about if I was taking them or how many pills I was taking or whatever, because I was telling her that in my sales, in my surveys that were normally 10, in that month, I would be getting, like, with integrity, I would be getting like a 5. With honesty, I would be getting a 5, even though I was telling people the truth and I was being honest with these people about the product and everything else. My pitch didn't change, my presentation, but people can feel that energy come across. And my wife was telling me this for years and it never sank in. So if I could help any one salesperson out there or any business person, that if you keep trying things and they're not working out, all you need to do, you don't need to do anything fancy. You don't need new marketing, even just where you're at. Just be more of an honest person in everything, not just the main big things. Like, yeah, you don't steal. Yeah, you don't, cheat on your wife or whatever. Yeah, you don't, whatever, do drugs. But are you talking bad about people? Are you, even when you're, even I notice I do it and I still do it, a lot too. Like if you're on the phone, you're like, oh, I got to go do this, or I was doing that when you weren't doing that, or your friends ask you to go out and you're like, oh no, I have to go do this other thing or whatever. No, you don't. You just didn't want to go. So now if somebody asks me that, I just go, no, I'm sorry. I don't want to do that right now. I have too much going on with my business. And I just try to tell the truth in every little thing. Cause take a notebook for the week and write down and think about everything you say to people. And I'll bet you realize how many things you say that are not true. and because I know all of us do it. And if you're the small percentage that doesn't do that, and somehow you're so miraculous that you don't, which, then obviously you don't need to watch these videos or anything. But I think for the most part, if you're a salesperson, you're a business person, since I've learned this concept, which, should be, pretty blatantly obvious, but it's not. And I see people, and with running a business, I see people lie to us all the time. That this happened at the resort and they need a refund on their room, or this little thing happened when we told them how to overcome that and they didn't do it and they just want a refund. People try to get around our cancellation policy. One person said their kid was super sick and they had to go to the hospital, or they have a death in the family. But then when we tell them, well, it's that's our cancellation policy, we stick by it. Unfortunately, we can't waive the policy because then we'd have to waive it for everybody. So unfortunately, and then all of a sudden, oh, my kid got better. Oh, we're going to be able to go on the vacation now. Oh, well, we ended up getting it fixed. So it's amazing to me the amount of people that lie or dishonest or try to get things for free. People go into businesses and they always try to get things for free, or they try to go into restaurants and say something's wrong with their meal when it's not. Or not a lot of people, but a big portion of people, try to get around cancellation policies. If you're returning stuff that it isn't really eligible to be returned, telling your wife you were here when you were there, or, just little things in life, lying to your employees about things, lying to your kids about things. That's got to be a huge one. Cause I notice, when my kids, say things, and it's so easy to, tell them, things that aren't true just to, kind of shine them on. I tell them the truth. I try to explain it right and trying to be honest. But I think if we all go out and honor God and live by honoring God and doing better work and doing the hard thing, I think your business will explode, because mine has, and I can only have God to thank of it. Because my first business was even better than the one I have now. I mean, I had a contractor referral service where people could call one number if they need a plumber, an electrician, a handyman, and we would refer you to the best in town, the best customers, but I never could get any traction or get it off the ground. I don't know if smoking weed every day had anything to do with it, or, whatnot, or, having those addictions and not telling the truth all the time. And I never really seemed to get any traction with any of my businesses. Even though I had a better business idea than I do now, renting out condos and RVs, and I had a better business, but I think since I've learned the lesson of being super good in every little thing, you might be, like I said, you might be good on the major things, but I'll guarantee you, if you dial down to it, talking bad about people, lying to your kids about stuff, lying to your spouse about things, lying to people on the phone or the salespeople, or trying to get things for free, or lying to your vendors, or lying to your customers, or not telling the truth, or whatever. All those things are what's keeping you from being your most successful. Because when you honor God in every aspect, when you honor God in every decision and everything you say, and you do the right thing all the time, I guarantee your business results are going to increase and increase and increase. And hopefully this message served you. I don't really know why I'm doing them. I don't have a product or anything to sell you. So hopefully just some people get some value out of it, and maybe together we can all do good and create a better world. And yeah, well, message me if you have any thoughts or questions, and appreciate you listening, and God bless.